Hello everyone, welcome to IITN's GATE classes. So in the last session, in this control session, we have seen your polar plot and we have discussed the question and the theory regarding the polar plot. So while teaching the polar plot, I had told you that polar plot is basically an incomplete plot. Okay, it is an incomplete plot, and basically your polar plot, it is completed when we actually sketch the Nyquist plot. So in today's session we are going to start with your Nyquist plot. So let us then begin today's session. So first of all, if we see in polar plot, our frequency, it varies from 0 to infinite, but in Nyquist plot, we are going to sketch the frequency response from omega varies from minus infinite to infinite. Okay, so we are going to vary this. Now first let us see the stability criteria of the Nyquist plot. Okay, first let us discuss that, and after that we will see basically what is the principle of argument. We are going to talk about that. So first of all, if we have a open loop transfer function, so let me denote it by k ns by ds, where ns is actually what? It is the Laplace transform of the numerator of the OLTF, and ds is what? It is the Laplace transform of the denominator of the OLTF, and k is your system gain. Okay, so this ns equal to 0. This will give me what? This will give me the zeros of CLTF, and ds is equal to 0. This will give me the poles of CLTF. Okay, poles of CLTF. Now if we write the closed loop transfer function, so this was open loop, so closed loop transfer function will be what? G of s divided by 1 plus g of s. So if we do that, so this will be k ns by ds 1 plus k ns ds. Okay, so if we solve this, this will become k ns divided by ds plus k ns. Okay, this we will get. So here you can see once again, if you put ns equal to 0, so this will be what? Zeros of CLTF, and if you equate this part to 0, so that is ds plus kns equal to 0. So this is poles of CLTF, and we know what? Basically your poles are responsible for the stability of the system. If poles are in the left hand side, system will be stable. If poles are in the right hand side, system will be unstable. So this is what? This is your CLTF. Now let us talk about your characteristics equation. So what is this characteristics equation? We know it is 1 plus gs. So solve this. This will be what? 1 plus k ns by ds. So if you just take the LCM at this point, so that will be what? ds plus kns divided by ds. Now over here you can see that this part, okay, so this is what? This is actually the zeros of characteristics equation, which is actually equal to the poles of CLTF, and this ds is equal to what? It is your, means if we equate this to 0, so this will be poles of characteristics equation, which is actually equal to the poles of OLTF. You can see at this point, this is what? Poles of sorry, over here I have written the poles of CLTF. So this will be zeros of OLTF and poles of OLTF. Okay, so very sorry. So you can see what, that this is equal to the poles of OLTF. Okay, up to this point I hope everything is clear. Okay, so now let us study about the principle of argument. So this theorem or this principle I am not going to prove. Okay, so basically what does this principle of argument state? So this actually comes from your mathematics. Okay, suppose we have a complex plane. So here we will be taking the S plane. Okay, let us take the S plane. So this is sigma, this is j omega. So in this, if we have a, suppose if we have a transfer function that looks something like this. Okay, S minus 3. So that means we have a pole over here. Okay, if we have a pole over here, so this is what, this is your S plane. Okay, this is your S plane. Now what we do, if we enclose this pole using a closed boundary such that the direction of this enclosure, it is basically what, it is your in the clockwise direction, then if we, according to the principle of argument, then in the frequency domain, that means what, so this is GS. So in frequency domain means this will be imaginary part of Gj omega and this will be real part of Gj omega. So in the frequency domain, this is my origin. Okay, this is my origin. So in the frequency domain, if suppose in the S plane I enclose this pole in the clockwise direction, okay, so that means basically in the frequency domain this origin will be enclosed once. Why once? Because you can see here we have one pole, so that is why this origin will be enclosed once, and the direction of enclosure, it will be opposite to that what we have seen in the S plane. So here it was clockwise, so here it will be anti-clockwise, in the anti-clockwise. Now if suppose instead of this pole, so I will make one more diagram. So if suppose instead of this pole I had a transfer function something like this, GS is equal to S minus 3, means there is only one 0 at this point. So in your frequency domain, basically okay, so in frequency domain, as there is one pole, so what will happen, basically this origin will be enclosed once in whatever is the direction of enclosure in your S plane, same it will be over here. So as over here it is clockwise, so this will be also clockwise. So always remember, this was a pole dominant system. Why? Pole dominant system are those systems where number of poles are greater than number of zeros. So in pole dominant system, whatever is the direction of enclosure in S plane, opposite will be the direction of enclosure in your frequency domain. And similarly in zero dominant system, basically what we have, number of zeros greater than number of poles. So in such kind of system, if you enclose this, okay, if you enclose, then in whatever direction, same will be the direction in your imaginary or complex domain or your frequency domain. Now let us take few more examples. Okay, few more examples let us take. So if suppose I have a system that looks something like this, so I will be just drawing the pole zero plot now. So I have 1 0 over here and 2 poles over here. Okay, so this is your sigma j omega and this is your sigma. And if my closed contour is something like this, so in the same diagram only I am going to draw various cases. So if first my contour is looking something like this, and you can see this is enclosed in your clockwise direction once again, or let us take this time in anti-clockwise direction. Okay, anti-clockwise. So this will be your in frequency plane. So look over here. Here you can see number of poles are 2, number of zeros are 1. So always whenever you have to see the number of poles and zeros that are basically enclosed by the closed contour. So now the number of encirclement around this origin, it will be how many? It will be equal to, as this is your pole dominant system, so it will be P minus Z. So that is 2 minus 1. And your encirclement over here is in which direction? It is in your anti-clockwise direction. So over here basically the number of encirclement is going to be 1, but as this is your pole dominant system, so whatever is the direction over here, it will be opposite. So it will be clockwise over here. Now if in the same question, if my contour was something like this, so I will make one more diagram. If our contour was something like this, instead of encircling this 0, we had just encircled this 2 pole in your anti-clockwise direction. Then what will happen? Then this is also a pole dominant system, but as we haven't encircled this 0, so the number of encirclement is equal to P minus Z, but here you can see the number of poles that have been encircled, they are how many? 2. Number of zeros that are encircled, they are how many? They are 0. So the number of encirclement will be 2 in your complex domain, and we will look something like this. So the origin will be enclosed twice. In which direction? As this is your pole dominant system, so whatever is the direction over here, it will be the opposite. So here it will be in your clockwise direction. Okay, so in the clockwise direction, this will be one of the encirclement. Okay, this will be one of the encirclement, and another encirclement will be this one. Okay, so this is actually stated in the principle of argument. Okay, so if you mathematically do this, you will get the same thing. Okay, so now you might have understood that whenever we have such kind of thing, basically we get your origin encircled in the whatever is the number of poles and zeros we have. If it is pole dominant, then your direction will be opposite to that of your S plane, and if it is your zero dominant, your direction will be same as the S plane. Now let us talk about Nyquist contour. Okay, Nyquist contour. Now we basically know your CLTF, we are basically always concerned about the stability of CLTF. Okay, we are concerned about the stability of CLTF. Why? Because all the system we want to construct it in feedback. So that is why we are more focused on the stability of CLTF. Okay, stability of CLTF. Now your CLTF will be stable when poles are in the left and your CLTF will be unstable when poles are in the right. Okay, whenever poles are in the right, your CLTF will be unstable. Fine. Now you might have seen in the textbook that usually your Nyquist contour, it looks something like this. So I will be erasing this part in a few moments. Okay, so basically this small radius, okay, so this basically tends to 0. So I am writing it as small r tending to 0, and this big radius, okay, so this capital R tends to infinite. That means what? We have a infinite radius half semicircle, okay, which actually will be covering the entire right half of the S-plane. Now, why does our contour it looks like this? See, basically, when we were over here, we wanted a closed contour, okay, closed contour. Now, we are going to see in a few moments that we are actually searching for poles and zeros, specifically saying we are interested in finding the poles of CLTF that lie in your right hand side of the S-plane. So for that, basically we need to have a contour such that we can enclose the entire right hand side of S-plane. So due to that, we have a contour that looks like this. But if we have to, even if we enclose the origin, so if suppose our CLTF, it has transfer function something like this, SS plus 1. So here you can see at origin we will have one pole. So if we didn't have the small semicircle, what will happen? Even this pole, it will be covered inside this contour, and then we will get what? We will get erroneous result. Why? Because we know for such kind of pole zero plot, our CLTF is stable, because all the poles are going to lie in the left hand side, and for this if we write the impulse response, this will be equal to 1 e to the power minus t ut. So this is a stable impulse response. So that is why we actually, where the small semicircle, what we are actually doing, we are removing all the poles that are at the origin. Okay, so now we have understood that why we are constructing the Nyquist contour in such shape. Now let us try to understand the formula. Okay, so I will be erasing all these things, it is not required. So look over here, even this part I am going to erase. So first let me mark all the regions inside this Nyquist contour. So this is basically from omega tending to 0 plus to over here we have omega tends to infinite plus. So in this region basically we have our polar plot. Okay, so this is our region 1. So region 2 is this region. So this region actually it starts from, remember, it will always start from omega equal to infinite minus and end at omega equal to 0 minus. Okay, so this is your region 2. Now our region 3 is the small region. So it always starts from omega equal to 0 minus and terminates at omega equal to 0 plus. So we are going to see basically this is what? This is actually your zero frequency line. So this region 3, so this let me rename as 3. So I told you section 1 is what? It is your polar plot. Section 2 or region 2, it is your inverse polar plot. Section 3, it is what? It is your zero frequency line. So I will even write this one, that they vary from actually what frequency to what frequency. So over here frequency varies from 0 to infinite, means 0 plus to infinite plus. Over here it varies from infinite minus to 0 minus. Over here it varies from 0 minus to 0 plus frequency. And last section, section 4, it is basically this section, okay, from plus infinite to minus infinite. This is known as what? This is known as your infinite frequency line. Okay, infinite frequency line. It varies from infinite plus to infinite minus. Okay, so this is all about the Nyquist contour. So this region 3 will come into play for the type of OLTF. Just a moment, we will be discussing how type of OLTF or CLTF it is going to play part over here. So this section 3 will be activated when we have poles at your origin, and this section 4, it will come into action when your transfer function, which transfer function? Open loop transfer function, is improper. Okay, when this is improper, we will have infinite frequency line. We will see the contribution of infinite frequency line. Okay, so now let us once again go back to the slide over here. So now I will be discussing few things. So let me copy few results from here. So what did we see? GS is equal to K NS by DS, GS by 1 plus GS. This is equal to what? This is equal to KNS divided by DS plus KNS. And last is characteristics equation. It is equal to what? So we had calculated this as what? DS plus KNS divided by DS. DS plus KNS divided by DS. Okay. So now see very carefully look over here. So this is actually what? This is your poles of CLTF, and this is what? This is poles of OLTF. Okay, this is poles of OLTF. So now you can see basically in this characteristics equation, we actually have the poles of CLTF as well as the poles of OLTF. Now when we are actually determining the stability of your CLTF from OLTF, the OLTF is given to us. Okay, OLTF is given to us. So from that we can determine the number of poles that are in the right half of S-plane. Now here you can see, if somehow we are able to know the poles of CLTF, which is actually the zeros, these are what? These are the zeros of characteristics equation. If somehow we are able to find the poles of CLTF, then we can comment about the stability of CLTF. Now if we apply principle of argument over in the characteristics equation, so here number of encirclement, this number of encirclement, previously we were taking GS. So when we were taking GS, our origin was 0, 0. But now if we do what? 1 plus GS. So you can see I have shifted the origin of this GS in the left hand side by 1 unit. Why? Because this will be equal to 0 if I want to find the new origin. So that will be at GS is equal to -1. So this point minus 1 j0 now is the origin for 1 plus gs. So that is why n is actually the number of encirclement. Okay, and that is given by what? If it is a pole dominant system, so that is equal to the number of poles of, means poles of this characteristics equation. So let me denote it by p and this by z. So this will be equal to p minus z. Now I have considered this p means number of poles of characteristics equation is greater than number of zeros of characteristics equation. So if that is the case, this is pole dominant system, so number of encirclement in anti-clockwise direction. Why? Because if you again go back to your Nyquist contour, here you can see I haven't given the direction still. So my Nyquist contour is always in this direction, and this direction you can see it is what? It is your clockwise rotation. So that is why you can see the number of encirclement over here, because this is your pole dominant system, it will be in anti-clockwise direction, where this p is equal to poles of characteristics equation, and poles of characteristics equation is equal to poles of OLTF, and z is equal to zeros of characteristics equation, and zeros of characteristics equation is equal to what? It is equal to poles of CLTF. So from here only we actually get the formula for your Nyquist plot. Now this n will be equal to number of encirclement in clockwise direction if your this characteristics equation is zero dominant system. So at that time your formula will change to nz minus p, and over here this will be number of encirclement of this critical point in clockwise direction. Okay, so this was all about the concept of Nyquist plot, and using this concept only we are going to solve the questions as well as all the theory questions also that will be asked in your PSU kind of exam. So now look over here, I have taken the first question. So it is given, draw the Nyquist plot for the given open loop transfer function gs is equal to 10 divided by s plus 1, and comment on the stability. So you need to do this. So I will be giving you like 1 minute to draw the polar plot first, and then from the polar plot I will show you actually how to draw the Nyquist plot over here. Okay, so first draw the polar plot yourself, and then we are going to talk about the Nyquist plot. Okay, so take 1 minute. So always remember that you should have this Nyquist contour in your head. Okay, you should always remember this. So this is your omega tends to infinite minus, omega tends to 0 minus, this is omega tends to 0 plus, and this is omega tends to infinite plus. Okay, so this is the direction. So first we are taking section 1. So section 1 is what? It is your Nyquist plot. So very quickly we will do, and we even know that this Nyquist plot, it will start in your third quadrant and it will terminate at what? It will terminate at your third quadrant only. Okay, so if you have to draw this, so very quickly let us do g of j omega. So that will be 10 divided by j omega plus 1. Okay, so let us take the magnitude. So that will be 10 by omega under root of 1 plus omega square. and phase of g j omega. So this will be equal to your minus 90 minus tan inverse of omega. Okay, so omega over here we are going to write the magnitude, and over here we are going to write the phase. Okay, so this is from 0 to infinite. So at 0 this will be what? This will be infinite, and at infinite this will be 0. This is minus 90 minus 180 degree. So this will look something like this, your polar plot. So this is imaginary part of g j omega. This is real part of g j omega. Okay, and your polar plot, it will look like this. Omega tends to 0 plus to omega equal to infinite plus. Now whenever we have this, so this is our what? This is our section 1. Sorry, I have written Nyquist over here. So this will be your polar plot. Okay, polar plot. Now your section 2 is basically the inverse polar plot, and inverse polar plot is just the mirror image of the polar plot. So I can tell you that that will look something like this. Okay, because as it is your what? It is your inverse polar plot, so it looks like this. Okay, still we are going to draw that. So look over here. GS is equal to what? 10 divided by S plus 1. Okay, so this is what? This is your GS. Now look over here. Basically, if we want to write G of j omega, so that is equal to 10 divided by j omega plus 1. Now here I will do one thing. I will directly put the value of omega as minus, so that I can nullify this section 2. Section 2 is from where? It is from infinite, omega tending to infinite minus to 0 minus. So already I am taking the zeros, negative signs over here. So g of minus j omega, this will be equal to 10 minus j omega plus 1. So magnitude will remain the same that we have seen before, omega under root of 1 plus omega square, and phase will be equal to, so take care of the phase. So this angle minus j omega, this will be minus 90. When it goes in the numerator, it will be plus 90. And this point 1 minus j omega, this lies in where? Which quadrant? So this point, it lies in your, you can see this will lie in where? It will lie in your 4th quadrant. So here it is actually minus tan inverse of omega, but when this goes in the numerator, it will be plus. So this will be 90 plus tan inverse of omega. Okay, 90 plus tan inverse of omega. So now you can see, so fine. So omega, magnitude and phase. Okay, so phase we have. Now remember, in section 2, omega varies from infinite minus to 0 minus. Now don't put 0 minus to infinite minus, then it will be wrong. You can see it starts from infinite minus and terminates at 0 minus. Already we have taken the contribution of negative part. So in this places, just put the values of omega. So that will be over here, you can see this will be 0. Sorry, at infinite it will be 0, and at 0 this will be infinite, and at infinite if you put the phase angle, so that will be 180 degree, and at infinite this will be what? Sorry, at 0 it will be 90 degree. So if you want to draw the inverse polar plot, so you can see this is the real part, this is the imaginary part. So it will look something like this. So at infinite minus, it is 180 degree, magnitude is 0 somewhere over here, and at 0 minus, magnitude infinite, phase is 90 degree. So it will look like this. So this part is omega tending to infinite minus, and this part is omega tending to 0 minus. So you can see basically this is the mirror image of the polar plot. So in examination you don't need to do all this, but for the sake of concept I have actually shown you how to draw the mirror image or the inverse of polar plot. Okay. So now the next contribution we are going to see that of this section 3. Okay, section 3. Now you can see basically this is type 1 system. Type 1. So let me tell you, number of infinite magnitude half circle due to section 3 is equal to the type of system. Type. So look over here. Now basically we have to calculate for section 3. So GS is equal to what? It is equal to 10 divided by S plus 1. Okay, so this is our GS. So now you can see what? If I put G of j omega over here, so okay, fine. So even I don't need to calculate now. So in section 3, omega, if you look in the Nyquist contour, it varies from 0 minus to 0 plus. Okay, omega varies from 0 minus to 0 plus. So look, at 0 minus, what was the magnitude and phase? It was infinite and 90 respectively. And at 0 plus, what was the magnitude and phase? It was infinite and minus 90. So now if you want to sketch the frequency domain, frequency plot for this much, so this is the real part of Gj omega, this will be the imaginary part of Gj omega. So you can see this is going from plus 90 to minus 90. So either it can go like this, one, either the option will be like this, because this point you can see it is 0 minus. In this diagram you can see this is 0 minus and this point is 0 plus. Okay, in this diagram you can see this point is 0 plus. I have assumed that these 2 points have magnitude infinite. So either it can look like this or it can look, means even you can take it from here, it's okay, or it will look like this. Option 2. Now which option do you think is correct? So for this, once again let us come back to this Nyquist contour. So if you draw the pole 0 plot of this open system, so we have one pole over here and one pole at minus 1. So you can see if I enclose this semicircle into a complete circle, what will be the direction? So you can see basically this is the direction. And what is this direction? This is in the anti-clockwise direction. So basically I have a contour which encloses a pole in anti-clockwise. So that means in frequency domain, it will be enclosing in which direction? In your clockwise. So clockwise direction is this. So that is why this is correct. And this will be wrong. Okay. So this is what? This is the wrong frequency diagram for omega equal to 0 minus to omega equal to 0 plus. And last we have is what? The section 4 region, and it varies from omega equal to infinite plus to infinite minus. And this region you will see the contribution of section 4. I have told when your open loop transfer function is improper. So here it is proper transfer function. So you can see for this the magnitude is 0, even for this magnitude is 0. So magnitude 0 means just a point at the origin. So now if you want to draw the complete Nyquist plot, so it will look like this. So now I will be sketching the complete Nyquist plot. Look over here. So this point is my critical point, minus 1 j0. So this is omega tending to 0 plus, this point is omega tending to infinite plus. So this point is omega tends to infinite minus, omega tends to 0 minus, and from here basically this circle starts. So now you can see that we have the Nyquist plot from the Nyquist contour. So now let us apply the formula n is equal to p minus z. So you can see what n over here, what is the number of encirclement around this critical point? It is equal to 0 from the Nyquist diagram. Number of poles of the open loop transfer function in the right hand part of S plane. So this P basically suggests the number of poles that we have in the right hand part of S plane. So that is equal to 0. So Z, this is actually what? This is the number of poles that we have in the right hand part of your CLTF, means closed loop transfer function pole in the right hand part. So that you can see it is coming out to be 0. So this your CLTF, it will be a stable system. So like this basically we solve the question. Okay. So now very quickly what I want you to solve this question on your own. I will be waiting like 1-2 minutes for you guys to solve this question. Okay. So very quickly solve this question on your own. So very simple. Over here we have 2 poles. So now in examination, how are you going to solve this question very quickly? That now I will show you. So you have like 1 minute. Please solve this question. So look, now very quickly in the same diagram, we are going to draw the Nyquist plot. See. Okay. So this will be real part of Gj omega. This is imaginary part. Now this is what? This is type 2 order 4. So when it is type 2, that means what? Starting point will be, for the polar plot, starting point will be minus 180 degree and ending point will be minus 360. So that means it will look like this. So this is omega tends to 0 plus, and over here we will have omega tends to infinite plus. So at this point we have assumed the critical point. So I am not writing over here. So whatever is this, basically for the negative part or the section 2, same will be the mirror image of this polar plot. So it will look something like this. Okay. So this is omega tends to infinite minus, and this will be omega tends to 0 minus. Okay, fine. Now tell me, over here you can also see section 4 will not be present. Why? Because this is proper transfer function, so it will be just a point. But what about section 3? So section 3 varies from omega equal to 0 minus to 0 plus. So 0 minus is over here and 0 plus is over here. So number of infinite magnitude half circle, it is equal to how many? It is equal to 2. So 2 half circle will make a complete circle. So look over here, and the direction of that circle will be what? It will be in clockwise direction. So you need to start from 0 minus and end at 0 plus. So your circle, it will look something like this. So I should use some different color. See, one half circle is completed. Okay, this is one half circle. Now one more half circle needs to be completed. So this is infinite magnitude half circle. So you can see this is my another half circle that I have over here. So it is forming one complete circle. Okay, fine. So now tell me, by looking in this diagram, what is the number of clockwise encirclement? Okay, or sorry, this is basically anti-clockwise. So number of anti-clockwise encirclement. So if your answer is 2, then very good, you have taken the right choice. So you can see one of the one of the circle that is actually encircling this, what this is your that I forgot the point. So critical point, yes. So encircling the critical point. So one of the circle will be this. So I am using the black color. So you can see this is one of the encirclement. One more encirclement is there. So let me use the blue color. So this is another encirclement, and direction of the encirclement, it is in which direction? You can see both of them are in anti-clockwise direction. So that is why you are going to write n is equal to 2 over here. Okay, so n is equal to 2. Number of poles of your OLTF in the right hand part of S plane, they are how many? They are is equal to 0. And Z, it is actually the poles of CLTF in the right. So you can see, sorry, so here the encirclement, you can see it is basically in which direction? In clockwise direction. So that is why you can see I have taken mistake over here. Basically this formula is for anti-clockwise. So if your encirclement is in clockwise, then you need to write minus over here. So Z comes out to be 2. Okay, Z comes out to be 2. So this system is basically what? This is your unstable system. Okay, this is unstable system. Now we have few questions over here. Now one more trick I will be showing you. See, sometimes they ask in the question that the number of encirclement around the critical point. So you might be thinking that we have to draw all this. Okay, no, it is not required. For your objective paper, it is very simple. How? So I will tell you. So we have this formula, n is equal to p minus z. So now look, basically we can comment about this p directly in the question only, because p is what? It is the number of right hand poles of OLTF. So that is equal to 0. If somehow we are able to find this z, we will be able to make a comment about this n. So z, let us do what? Let us take help of route table. So if we take help of route table, so you can see this will be what? S square plus 3s plus 2 plus 1 equal to 0, or this will be s to the power 4 plus 3s cube plus 2s square plus 1 equal to 0. So you can see there is a missing term over here. So due to that, it will be actually what? It will be unstable. So now let us form the route table and see how many poles are there in the right hand side. So this will be 1, 2, 1, this will be 3, 0, blank. Okay, so this is 6 by 3, so that will be 2, and this is 1. Next is 0, this will be minus 3 by 2, and these all are blank. Next will be, again we have is minus 3 by 2 into 1, so this will be 1. So you can see number of sign changes are 2. So that means two poles are in the right hand side of the S-plane for your CLTF. So now from this formula, you have the value of P as what? P as 0, Z as 2. So number of encirclement in anti-clockwise direction is equal to -2. Now -2 suggests that we have taken anti-clockwise. So it is opposite. So that means N is equal to 2 for clockwise rotation, and that we can see from this diagram also. Okay, so like this you have to solve questions in your objective paper. So now let us see some questions. So this is the first question that we have over here. So very quickly solve this. I am giving you like 2 minutes to solve this question. So you can see over here it is given, consider the Nyquist diagram for the given KGS. The transfer function KGS has no poles and zeros in the right half of S-plane. So that means it is given KGHS has no poles or zeros in the right half of S-plane. That means P is equal to 0. Okay, P's are the number of poles of OLTF in the right half of S-plane. So those are 0. Now what is given? If the -1 J0 point is located in the first region, somewhere over here, and then in region 2, the change in the stability of system will be from. So first your critical point is over here, then if it shifts over here somehow, so what will happen to the stability of the system? That is what is asked. Okay, so now look over here, P is already 0. So when in region 1, if we have the critical point, so what is the number of encirclement? So let me take this formula. So in this case, N is the number of encirclement around critical point in your anti-clockwise direction. So here you can see this one, okay, this encirclement. So this encirclement is in which direction? It is in your anti-clockwise direction. So that is +1. And this encirclement, there is one more encirclement of the critical point. It is in which direction? So it is in your clockwise direction. So that will be -1. So total encirclement is equal to 0. So 0 is equal to P is 0 minus Z. So Z comes out to be 0. So if your critical point is located in the first region, then your system is stable. Now if suppose critical point is located in your region 2, region 2 means this point. Okay, if it is located in this point over here, so what will happen? Once again let us see your number of encirclement. So this encirclement over here is in clockwise direction, so -1, and even this encirclement still we have, so that is also -1. So this comes out to be -2 is equal to P minus Z. So Z comes out to be 2. So the total number of encirclement over here, sorry, the number of poles of CLTF in the right half of S-plane, it is equal to 2. So that means system changes from stable to unstable. So which option do we see? Stable to unstable, option D. Okay, so option D is your correct answer. Fine. So we have this next question. So very quickly, I want you to solve this question. Take 1 minute. So you can see, consider the standard negative feedback configuration with GS is equal to this and HS is equal to half. The number of clockwise encirclement of -1 0 in the Nyquist plot of open loop transfer function is. So even this question we can solve with the help of Routh-Hurwitz condition. So you can see over here that basically how many number of poles of this OLTF, sorry. So OLTF will be what? It is GHS. So that is equal to half S square plus 0.2S plus 100 divided by S square minus 0.2S plus 100. So they are asking the number of clockwise encirclement of -1 J0 in the Nyquist plot of the loop transfer function GHS. So Nyquist plot is always constructed for your CLTF, remember this. So first let us try to find out the number of poles that are present in the right half of S-plane in your OLTF. So for that, let me take help of your Routh-Hurwitz table once again. Okay, so this is 100 and this is minus 0.2. So you can see over here that this will be what? This will be 100. So the number of sign changes are actually 2. Okay, number of sign changes are 2. So P over here is equal to 2, where P denotes actually the number of poles of OLTF in the right half of S-plane. Now for the same transfer function, let us do what? Let us calculate 1 plus GHS. So that will be equal to what? 1 plus half S square plus 0.2S plus 100 divided by S square minus 0.2S plus 100. Okay, so if we solve this, this will be equal to, means equating to 0 for getting the characteristics equation. So 2S square minus 0.4S plus 200 plus S square plus 0.2S plus 100 equal to 0. So this will be equal to 3S square minus 0.2S plus 300 equal to 0. So once again, if we make the Routh table for this one, so there will be once again 2 sign changes only. So 300 and over here this will be 0.2 0. So you can see once again there will be 2 sign changes over here. So Z is also equal to 2. So now if you put the formula N is equal to Z minus P. Why Z minus P? Because here it is asked about your clockwise encirclement. So clockwise encirclement, so Z is equal to 2, P is equal to 2, so this is 0. So the Nyquist plot will have 0 encirclement along your critical point. Okay, so such kind of questions, you will see a lot of questions has been asked in your PSU kind of exam. So now this is one more question we have. Very quickly solve this question. So you can see in the question, if the S-plane contour encloses, so it is given, if the S-plane contour encloses 3 zeros and 2 poles, okay, so 3 zeros, if the S-plane means we have 3 zeros, so 3 zeros we can take anything like this, okay, whichever way we want, and 2 poles. So 2 poles, let us have 2 poles like this. So it is enclosed by a contour. Okay, it is enclosed by, if the S-plane contour encloses 3 zeros and 2 poles, contour will encircle the origin of QS plane. So here actually they have not given in which direction basically the encirclement is taking place. So if we assume over here, you can see clockwise, 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 clockwise. So everything is written in clockwise direction. So that means I am assuming, as this is your what? This is your zero dominant system. So I am assuming clockwise only. Okay. Clockwise encirclement. So as this is zero dominant, so P minus Z. P actually tells you the number of poles. sorry, I should have taken z minus p. So z, you can see what, z is equal to 3, p is equal to 2. So number of encirclement of the origin in your qs plane or in your j omega plane, it will be what? It will be just 1. In which direction? In your clockwise direction. So once in clockwise direction. This is correct. Now next question we have over here is this. So very quickly solve this question. So solve this question very quickly. So you can see it is given in the question, the Nyquist plot for the open loop transfer function GS of a unity negative feedback system shown in the figure. If GS has no poles in the right half of S plane, that means they are telling you that P is 0. Okay, if GS has no pole in the right half of S plane, the number of roots of the system characteristics equation in the right half of S plane, that means they are asking what will be the value of Z, where Z implies actually the number of poles of OLTF in the right half of S plane. Okay, so over here you can see what are the encirclements over here of the critical point. So one, let me take this formula only, n is equal to p minus z, where n is the encirclement of critical point in anti-clockwise direction. So the first encirclement you can see, this is in which direction? So this is in your anti-clockwise, so 1 plus 1, and one more encirclement of this critical point we have. This is in which, sorry, so this was in your clockwise direction, so that is minus 1, and this encirclement you can see it is in your anti-clockwise direction, so plus 1. So number of encirclement is 0. So 0 is equal to 0 minus z, so the value of z is 0. So option A is your correct answer. Okay. So the next question, it is also very simple over here. Very simple. What it is given? Loop transfer function of a feedback system is GS is equal to S plus 3 divided by S square S minus 3. Take the Nyquist contour in clockwise direction, then the Nyquist plot of GHS encircles the critical point. Fine. Very good. So over here you can see what? That P basically tells us the number of poles of the OLTF in the right half of S plane. So that is equal to 1. So with the help of characteristics equation or route table, we can calculate the Z. So that will be equal to S square S minus 3 plus S plus 3 equal to 0. So this is equal to S to the power 4 minus 3S square plus S plus 3 equal to 0. Let us make the route table. Okay. So this will be 1, 3, 3, and over here we will have 0, and this will be what? This will be plus 1, and we don't have anything over here. So now let us consider this as epsilon. So this will be 3 epsilon, okay, 3 epsilon minus 1 by epsilon over here. Okay, so if you put the value of limit over here, so limit epsilon tends to 0, so this value will come out to be 3 epsilon minus 1 by epsilon. So divided by epsilon, you will be getting 3 minus 1 by epsilon. So this will be equal to minus infinite over here. Okay, minus infinite. So this will be a negative value. So in the next example, you can see basically this is what. So this will be the case, and then okay, so remaining I have to calculate. So this will be 3 epsilon, so this will be 3 and there will be no. So this will be 3 epsilon minus 1 divided by epsilon minus 3 epsilon divided by 3 epsilon minus 1 by epsilon. So divided by this, so this will become 1 minus 3 epsilon divided by 3 epsilon minus 1 by epsilon. So this epsilon will go above, okay, this epsilon will go above. So this will be 1 minus 3 epsilon square by 3 epsilon minus 1, or else I will just show you one very easy simple trick, okay, no need of solving any of the limit. So this will be a little bit tricky, but it will be very easier for you without any of this, okay. So consider this as your a special 0, okay. So what will happen in this place, in this particular place, I am writing over here. So this special 0 into 3 minus 1 divided by special 0, okay. So this will come out to be as infinite minus infinite, because this will be 0 minus 1 by 0, so minus infinite. Mark this as special infinite, okay. And over here you can see this will be 3. How? So special 0 into 3 divided by special 0. So cancel this special 0, you are getting 3. So this is how you got it. Now look at the next row. So special infinite into 1 minus special 0 into 3 divided by special infinite. So this 0 into 3, it will be 0. And the special infinite and special infinite cancel with each other. So this becomes 1 and the remaining terms are all 0. Now you can see this will be 3, means 1 into 3, 0 into infinite, that will be 0. So you will be getting 3. So this is how you actually solve this. So over here you can see the number of sign changes, they come out to be 2. 2 sign changes are there. So that means Z is equal to 2. So here it is asked what? The Nyquist contour in clockwise direction. So n is equal to Z minus P. Why? Because in clockwise it is asked. So here n number of encirclement, it is in your clockwise direction. So Z is equal to 2, P equal to 1. So you can see that is 1. So once in your clockwise direction, option A is your correct answer for this question. Okay. So such kind of questions are asked in your Nyquist plot in your all your PSU kind of exam. Okay. So I have tried to cover each and every aspect of the question that might be asked in your PSU exam along with the theory part also. Still, if you have any doubt or any query, you can comment in the comment section below and I will be solving your doubt. Okay. So I hope you have liked this session. If you have done so, please press the thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel for more videos. Okay. So see you in the next session. Thank you.